Batman, Gotham's Night, Volume 2, Number 5. The False Face Earth 1 Saga. 1 God's Monsters and Mortals, Part 1, Mortals 2. Batman reached Lacey Towers shortly after midnight. The building rose above Gotham like a giant slab of concrete and glass, most of its windows dark. The information Penguin had given him had been brief, but it was enough. Lacey Towers, a possible safe house, a place connected to Black Mask. Batman climbed the side of the building, moving from ledge to ledge until he reached the upper floors. He found an unlocked window and slipped inside. The hallway was silent. Too silent. Batman moved forward. He checked the first room. Nothing. The second. Nothing. Then he heard something, a faint dripping sound. Batman followed it. He reached the door at the end of the hallway. It was slightly open. Batman pushed it inward. His eyes immediately went to the floor. Black Mask was dead. His body was lying beside a woman. Batman recognized her from photographs. One of Roman Sionis's girlfriends, Tiffany. Batman stepped into the room. He immediately began examining the bodies. Blood. No obvious signs of forced entry. The room looked almost staged. Batman crouched beside Black Mask. This doesn't make sense. He examined the mask, then the body, then Tiffany. Someone wanted me to find this. Batman stood. He looked around the room. Black Mask. A deep, rough voice suddenly came from behind him. You know, Tiffany was pretty. Batman spun around. The voice continued, but sometimes you have to sacrifice the things you love to get what you want. Batman stared. A man stood in the shadows. Roman Sionis. Alive. Batman looked back toward the body, then toward the man. You. Roman smiled. The real me. Batman realized what had happened. The body was a decoy. The entire thing had been staged. Roman had known Penguin might talk. And if Penguin thought Black Mask was dead, Oswald would have no reason to believe he was betraying a living man. Batman stepped toward him. You wanted me here. Roman smiled. Of course I did. Batman tightened his fists. Then you made a mistake. He moved. Roman stepped backward. Batman was about to grab him when something exploded through the wall. A massive figure crashed into the room. Batman barely had time to react. KG Beast. The assassin grabbed Batman and threw him across the room. Batman slammed into a table. KG Beast charged. Batman rolled away as KG Beast's fist destroyed the table. Batman kicked him in the chest. KG Beast barely moved. Batman struck him again. Nothing. KG Beast grabbed Batman by the throat. Batman drove his elbow into the assassin's arm. KG Beast released him. Batman hit him across the face. KG Beast stumbled. Batman charged. KG Beast caught him. The assassin slammed Batman into the wall. Batman struck back. KG Beast grabbed him again. Batman drove his knee into his stomach. KG Beast grunted. Batman tried to move. KG Beast caught his arm, twisted it. Batman cried out. KG Beast threw him across the room. Batman landed hard. He tried to stand. KG Beast was already there. Another strike. Batman hit the floor. He pushed himself up. Another strike. Everything went dark. Bruce Wayne was standing in an alley. He looked around. He knew this place. His breathing became heavier. No. He looked down. He was younger, much younger. He heard the gunshot. His parents fell. Bruce stood frozen. Joe Chill was standing there. Bruce couldn't move. He couldn't breathe. He looked at his father, then his mother, then Joe Chill. And behind Joe Chill, a shadow appeared. It looked like a bat. Bruce stared at it. The shadow grew larger, larger, larger. Then it suddenly moved. A monstrous bat-shaped silhouette filled the alley. Bruce stepped backward. What? The creature turned toward him. Then it screamed. Wake up! Bruce's eyes opened. Batman gasped. He was back in the hotel room. Darkness surrounded him. His head hurt. His ribs hurt even worse. He tried to move his left arm. Pain shot through him. He stopped, broken. He looked around. Roman was gone. KG Beast was gone. Batman slowly pushed himself up. The room was destroyed. Furniture had been smashed. The walls were damaged. Blood was on the floor. Batman looked toward the door. They got away. He hated it. But he couldn't chase them, not like this. Sirens could be heard outside. Someone had called the police. Batman forced himself to stand. He couldn't leave through the main entrance. He moved toward a back exit. Every step hurt. He finally reached the alley behind the building. Batman slipped into the shadows. He leaned against a wall. His breathing was heavy. He reached for his communication device. Alfred. Static. Then Alfred answered. Master Bruce? I need the car. There was a pause. Are you injured? I'm fine. Master Bruce? Alfred. Another pause. I'll bring it. Batman lowered himself beside a garbage can. He hated this. Black Mask was alive. KG Beast had beaten him, and the police were probably minutes away from discovering everything. Batman looked back toward the building. I let him get away. He closed his eyes. Roman Sionis. Next time. A car pulled into the alley. Alfred stepped out. He opened the door. Bruce got inside. Alfred looked at him. His expression immediately changed. Master Bruce, don't. Alfred stared at the injuries. You said you were fine. I said I needed the car, Alfred sighed. Very well. He got behind the wheel. As they drove away, Bruce looked through the window at Gotham. Black Mask was still out there. The assassins were still out there. And now KG Beast had proven just how dangerous they were. Bruce closed his eyes. He was exhausted. But one thought remained. Black Mask is alive, and eventually, I'll find him. The car disappeared into the Gotham night. To be continued. Gotham Police, Season 1, Number 2. The Lacey Towers Incident, Earth 1 Saga 1, God's Monsters and Mortals, Part 1, Mortals 2. The Lacey Towers lobby was surrounded by police. Harvey Bullock stepped through the front entrance, coffee in one hand and his badge hanging from his coat. He looked around. All right, what the hell happened? An officer approached him. Detective Bullock, we've got 2 bodies upstairs. Who? We don't know yet. Bullock sighed. Of course we don't. He walked toward the elevator. Anybody see anything? Nobody's talking. Good, my favorite kind of crime scene. The elevator doors opened. Bullock stepped inside. As he rode upward, he looked at the blood on his sleeve. He frowned. Great. The doors opened. Bullock stepped into the hallway. Several officers were already outside the room. One of them approached. Detective, what have we got? 2 dead. Bullock entered. The room was destroyed. Furniture had been overturned. A table was broken. There were marks on the walls. Blood was everywhere. Bullock looked around. Looks like somebody had one hell of a fight. The officer nodded. We found the first body here. Bullock looked down. Who's that? We're still working on identification. Bullock moved toward the second body. He stopped. He recognized her. Tiffany. The officer looked at him. You know her? Not personally, Bullock looked at the body. But I've seen her with Roman Sionis. He looked around. Black Mask. The officer nodded. We think this is connected to him. Bullock walked toward the damaged wall. Yeah, he touched the wall. Something happened here. He looked at the damage. But what? Bullock examined the room. There were no obvious firearms, no obvious murder weapon, no clear signs of a robbery. He looked toward the broken furniture. This isn't a robbery. No. Then somebody was looking for something. The officer shook his head. We haven't found anything missing. Bullock sighed. Of course. He walked over to a desk. There were papers scattered across it. Bullock picked one up. Nothing useful. He dropped it back down. Anybody see Roman? No. Anybody hear anything? A neighbor reported hearing a fight. What time? Shortly before midnight. Bullock looked toward the door. Anybody see anyone leaving? No. Bullock frowned. So somebody kills 2 people, tears this room apart, and disappears without anyone seeing them. He shook his head. Gotham. An officer approached. Detective, there's something else. Bullock turned. What? The officer pointed toward the floor. There are footprints. Bullock crouched. He examined them. Large, heavy, but they were damaged by blood and debris. Can we identify the shoe? Not yet. Bullock stood. Get photographs. Already doing it. Good. Bullock looked around again. Something about the room bothered him. He couldn't explain it. He didn't know that Batman had been there. He didn't know that KG Beast had been there. He didn't know that Roman Sionis had staged the entire thing. All Bullock knew was that something involving Black Mask had happened here, and 2 people were dead. Bullock looked toward Tiffany. Roman Sionis is going to be interested in this. The officer looked confused. Why? Bullock gave him a look. Because if this really is connected to Black Mask. He looked around the destroyed room. Then somebody just sent Gotham's underworld a message. Bullock walked toward the exit. And I want to know what that message was. He stopped. Get every camera recording around this building. Yes, detective. Talk to every neighbor. Yes. Find out who rented this room. Already checking. Bullock nodded. Then he looked back at the crime scene. Something happened here. He stared at the blood on the floor, and whoever did it doesn't want us knowing what. Bullock walked away. The officers continued working. Outside, Gotham remained quiet. Somewhere in the city, Roman Sionis was still alive. And Harvey Bullock had no idea just how close Batman had been to finally catching him. End of Gotham Police, Season 1, Number 2. Batman Gotham's Night, Number 5.2, Intensive Training Earth 1 Saga 1, Gods, Monsters, and Mortals, Part 1, Mortals 2. The next morning, Bruce Wayne woke up in the underground facility beneath the old Wayne building in Otisburg. For several seconds, he didn't move. He simply stared at the ceiling. His ribs still hurt. His arms still hurt. His entire body felt like he'd been thrown through a wall, because he had. Bruce slowly sat up. He winced. Still alive. From across the room, Alfred looked up from a cup of coffee. That is certainly one way of looking at it, sir. Bruce looked at him. I'm healing. You're supposed to be resting. I've rested. You've been unconscious for most of the night. That's rest. Alfred sighed. Bruce stood. His legs were steady, barely. He walked toward the training station. Alfred immediately followed. Master Bruce, I'm fine. You keep saying that. Because I am. Bruce entered the training area. He activated the computer. The room came alive. Holographic projectors activated around him. Bruce selected the first group. Falcone crime family soldiers appeared around the room. Men carrying guns, knives, baseball bats. Bruce stood in the center. The first holographic thug charged. Bruce blocked the punch, countered. Dropped him. Another came from behind. Bruce ducked, elbowed him, kicked another attacker across the room. The holograms disappeared. Bruce selected another group. Sal Maroni's men. More appeared. Bruce fought them. Punch, kick, block, throw. Another attacker. Bruce grabbed him, flipped him over his shoulder. Another one charged. Bruce drove his fist into his chest. The holograms disappeared. Bruce barely breathed. Next. Alfred watched from behind the glass. Bruce selected Penguin's men. The room filled with holographic criminals. Bruce attacked. He moved faster, harder. He didn't stop. One thug swung a crowbar. Bruce caught it. Pulled the man forward. Headbutt. The hologram disappeared. Another attacked. Bruce kicked him into another. Two more appeared. Bruce took them down. Then came the Black Mask soldiers. Bruce fought them too. He was becoming more aggressive. Every punch was harder. Every movement was faster. Alfred watched silently. Bruce continued. Then he selected the Red Hood gang. The holograms appeared. Bruce attacked immediately. He slammed one into the ground. Another tried to stab him. Bruce caught his wrist. Twisted. The knife fell. Bruce punched him. The hologram vanished. Another appeared. Bruce hit him. Another. Bruce kicked him. Another. He grabbed him by the throat and threw him across the room. Alfred watched. Bruce was breathing heavily now. Master Bruce. Bruce ignored him. He opened the next program. A single hologram appeared. KG Beast. Bruce stared at it. The holographic assassin charged. Bruce moved. KG Beast swung. Bruce blocked. The impact forced him backward. Bruce attacked. KG Beast blocked. Bruce punched, blocked, kicked, blocked. The hologram grabbed Bruce. Bruce slammed his elbow into its face. The hologram staggered. Bruce attacked again. KG Beast struck Bruce across the chest. Bruce fell. He got back up. KG Beast charged. Bruce attacked. Again. His movements became slower. His injured arm shook. His ribs screamed. Bruce ignored it. He charged again. KG Beast raised his fist. Then, the hologram disappeared. Bruce stopped. He looked around. Alfred? The room went dark. Alfred stepped forward. I turned it off. Bruce stared at him. Turn it back on. No. Bruce walked toward the computer. Alfred stepped in front of him. You've had enough. I decide when I've had enough. Not tonight. Bruce stared at him. Alfred's expression was serious. I don't want you doing this anymore. Bruce went silent. Alfred continued. I don't want you to be Batman anymore. Bruce looked away. I don't want you to die. Alfred's voice became quieter. I don't want to see a gravestone with your name on it. Bruce said nothing. I have already watched this family lose too much. Alfred looked at him. I don't want your grave to become the next part of the Wayne family legacy. Bruce walked away. Alfred followed. Master Bruce. Bruce opened the equipment locker. He pulled out the batsuit. Master Bruce, please. Bruce put the suit on. Alfred watched. You've already been beaten by these assassins. Bruce put on his gloves. You were nearly killed. Bruce put on the cowl. You're still injured. Bruce turned toward the exit. Alfred followed. Master Bruce? Bruce kept walking. Stop. Bruce continued. Master Bruce? The door opened. Bruce! Bruce finally stopped. He turned around. Alfred looked furious and terrified at the same time. What are you? I will not in good conscience allow you to go. Bruce stared at him. You're outmatched by these assassins and... By what? Alfred stopped. Bruce stepped closer. You're what? Alfred took a breath. You're not some hardened vigilante. Bruce stared at him. You're a young man with a trust fund and too much anger. Bruce's expression hardened. You are in over your head, and I don't want this to be your end. Silence. Bruce looked at Alfred. Then he spoke. Alfred? His voice was calm. Who do you see when you look at me? Alfred didn't answer. The boy whose shoes you used to tie every morning. Bruce took another step. The teenager you drove to his first date? Alfred's eyes lowered. While you're here every night, Bruce looked toward the exit. I am out there. He turned back toward Alfred. The only thing between the innocent and the predatory. Alfred shook his head. You may be, but... No, Bruce interrupted him. Not maybe. Bruce's eyes narrowed behind the cowl. I am. Alfred remained silent. When the mugger or the thief stops to think twice, Bruce stepped toward the exit. That is fear. He looked back at Alfred. That is what I am. Bruce opened the door. That is why they hired assassins. He paused. Because I am the reason criminals breathe easier when the sun rises. Alfred stared at him. Bruce's voice became colder. So no, Alfred. He stepped into the darkness. I am not in over my head. Bruce disappeared through the doorway. Tonight will not be my end. The door slowly closed behind him, but it will be theirs. End of Batman Gotham's Nightmare 5.2, Intensive Training. Deathstroke the Terminator, Special The Contract Earth 1 Saga. 1. Gods, Monsters, and Mortals. Part 1. Mortals 2. Slade Wilson had killed men before. He had fought in wars before. He had been shot before. He had been betrayed before. But none of that prepared him for Gotham. Years before he ever heard the name Batman, Slade Wilson was a soldier. He was disciplined, intelligent, and frighteningly good at what he did. He learned how to read a battlefield before the first shot was fired. He learned how to recognize an ambush. He learned how to disappear when everyone else was looking for him. Slade wasn't the biggest soldier. He wasn't the strongest. He was simply better. He knew where to strike. He knew when to wait. And most importantly, he knew when to kill. His superiors eventually noticed. Slade was sent on increasingly dangerous missions. Hostage rescues, assassinations, infiltrations, missions that officially never happened. Slade always came home. Then came the mission that changed him. Slade was assigned to rescue a captured operative. The mission was supposed to be simple. It wasn't. Slade and his team were ambushed. Bullets tore through the building. One soldier after another went down. Slade fought his way through the enemy. He reached the hostage. Then everything went wrong. Slade was shot. He fell. But he got back up. He killed the men surrounding him. He got the hostage out. But when he returned home, his injuries were worse than anyone realized. Doctors discovered that the damage had affected his body in ways they couldn't completely explain. His strength increased. His reflexes sharpened. His recovery became unnaturally fast. Slade wasn't simply recovering. He was changing. He kept it to himself. He didn't trust the military. He didn't trust doctors. And he certainly didn't trust anyone who might try to turn him into a weapon. Eventually, Slade left. He disappeared from military life. For a while, he tried to live normally. It didn't work. A man like Slade. Deathstroke the Terminator Special The Contract Earth 1 Saga. 1. Gods, Monsters, and Mortals. Part 1. Mortals 2. Slade Wilson had always been good at fighting, even before the experiments, even before the contracts, even before the mask. He was a soldier, a highly trained one. Slade had spent years learning how to survive, hand-to-hand combat, firearms, knives, tactical movement, stealth. He learned quickly and he remembered everything. But the thing that made Slade truly dangerous was that he didn't simply learn how to fight. He learned how other people fought. Give him enough time with an opponent, and Slade could begin recognizing their habits, their footwork, their breathing, the way they moved their shoulders before throwing a punch, the way they shifted their weight before pulling a weapon, the way they attacked when they were angry. He could study someone and eventually start fighting like them. Slade had learned that lesson during his years in the military. He was sent on missions most soldiers never knew existed. Black operations, hostage rescues, assassinations, recoveries, things that officially never happened, and Slade was good at them, very good. Eventually, the military selected him for something different, a medical experiment. They called it a project. Slade called it what it really was, an experiment on a human being. The doctors wanted to create a soldier who could survive injuries that would kill an ordinary man. They altered Slade's body. The procedure nearly killed him. His heart stopped. His body went into shock. The doctors thought they had failed. Then Slade opened his eyes. His body had changed. His healing was no longer normal. Cuts closed faster. Broken bones repaired themselves. Wounds that should have taken months to heal began recovering in days. And his strength increased. Slade had become stronger, faster, harder to kill. But the experiment came with a price. He could feel every injury, every broken bone, every bullet, every cut. His body healed. His mind still remembered the pain. Slade returned to active duty, and he became better than he had ever been. He could fight longer, hit harder, recover faster. But his greatest weapon remained his mind. Slade studied people. He studied his enemies. He learned everything he could before fighting them. Their names, their habits, their weaknesses, their relationships, their routines, their fears. He believed that knowing the target was half the battle, sometimes more than half. Then came his family. Slade loved his wife. He loved his children. But Slade had a problem. He couldn't always separate his work from his home life. His missions followed him home. The danger followed him. And eventually, one of his children paid the price. His oldest son was nearly killed. Slade remembered standing there, watching his son fighting for his life. For the first time in years, Slade felt completely helpless. His wife blamed him. She blamed the life he had chosen. She blamed the missions, she blamed the secrets, and she blamed Slade. During the argument, she attacked him. The blade struck his face. Slade fell. His eye was gone. The pain was incredible, but he understood why she had done it. She was angry, terrified. And she thought Slade's life had put their children in danger. He didn't blame her. Eventually, they forgave each other. The family tried to move forward, but Slade couldn't forget what happened. He began questioning the life he'd chosen. Years later, Slade retired from the army. For a while, he tried to live normally, but normal life wasn't something Slade Wilson understood anymore. He knew how to fight. He knew how to survive. And there were people willing to pay him for those skills. So Slade began accepting contracts. At first, they were small, a criminal, a corrupt businessman, a dangerous target, someone who thought they could hide. They couldn't. Slade would study them. He would learn everything about them. Then he'd strike. He became known by a new name, Deathstroke, the Terminator. The name spread. Eventually, Slade became one of the most dangerous assassins in the world. But he still had rules. He didn't kill without a reason, he didn't accept every contract, and he never underestimated a target. Then one night, Slade received a new contract. A file was placed in front of him. Slade opened it. Inside was a photograph. A man dressed in black, a cape, a cowl, 2 white eyes. Slade stared at the photograph. He flipped through the information. Gotham City, target, Batman. Slade looked at the photograph again. Batman. He studied the information. Missing pieces, rumors, police reports, witness statements, criminal accounts, stories about a man who appeared from the darkness, a man who had been fighting Gotham's criminals, a man who had recently survived multiple assassins. Slade smiled faintly. This should be interesting. He closed the file. He stood. The contract was worth enough money to make most men reckless. Slade wasn't most men. He picked up his equipment. Then he looked at the photograph one more time. You want me to kill the Batman? He put the photograph back into the file. First, Slade grabbed his mask. I'm going to learn everything about him. He put the mask on. The orange and black face stared back from the mirror. Deathstroke was ready. He walked out of the room. The contract had begun. Batman had no idea he was being hunted. End of Deathstroke, the Terminator, special. At Batman Gotham's Night number 5.3, The Pain of a Wayne Earth 1 Saga, 1 Gods, Monsters, and Mortals, Part 1, Mortals 2. Bruce Wayne had spent years learning how to become Batman. But becoming Batman didn't begin with a suit. It began with pain. Years earlier, Bruce had left Gotham. He had left Wayne Manor. He had left Alfred. He had left behind everything he knew. He had one goal: understand crime, understand criminals, understand fear, and learn how to stop what happened to his parents from happening to someone else. Bruce traveled the world. He trained with fighters. He studied detectives. He learned from criminals. He learned how to disappear, how to survive, how to interrogate, how to move without being heard, how to fight men larger than him, how to fight men faster than him, how to fight when injured, how to keep moving when everything hurt. But every lesson eventually brought him back to the same memory. The alley, his parents, the gunshot, Joe Chill. Bruce would wake up from nightmares thinking about it. Sometimes he wondered if he was training to become something that could never exist, something stronger than a man, something criminals would fear. Eventually, Bruce found the people he had been searching for, the League of Assassins. Their training was unlike anything he had experienced. They pushed him beyond his limits. They taught him ancient fighting techniques, stealth, weapons, strategy, psychology, how to manipulate an opponent, how to kill. That was where Bruce drew the line. He refused. He would learn everything they had to teach him, but he wouldn't become a murderer. The League's leader understood, at least partially. And Bruce became close to his daughter, Talia. She understood Bruce better than most people ever had. She knew what he wanted. She knew what he had lost. And she knew what he was planning to do when he eventually returned to Gotham. One evening, Bruce stood with Talia overlooking the League's compound. Talia looked at him. "I know you are leaving." Bruce nodded. "I have to." "Gotham?" "Yes." Talia smiled faintly. "I respect your mission." Bruce looked at her. "Even though you won't kill?" "Especially because you won't." Bruce didn't answer. Talia looked toward the darkness below them. "You are strange, Bruce Wayne." "I've been told." She smiled. "You're like a dark knight in shining armor." Bruce raised an eyebrow. "A dark knight?" "Yes." Talia turned toward him. "But I wonder." She paused. "How long will the darkness take to consume you?" Bruce looked into her eyes. "Never." Talia studied him. She knew he believed it. Bruce turned away. He was leaving. He had learned everything he needed. Now he had to go home. Gotham was waiting. Years of training had changed Bruce. He was stronger, smarter, more disciplined, but he wasn't invincible. He still had anger. He still had fear. He still had pain. And he still had the memory of that alley. The difference was that now he knew what to do with it. He would turn it into something else, something criminals couldn't understand, something they couldn't predict, something that would make them afraid. He returned to Gotham. He became Batman, and Gotham changed with him. Now, Bruce sat inside the sub-Bat cave beneath the old Wayne building. His injuries from KGB still hadn't healed completely. His ribs were cracked, his arm was broken, his body needed rest. Alfred had told him so, more than once. Bruce ignored him. After their argument, Alfred had finally stopped trying to convince him. He gathered his things. Bruce watched him. Alfred walked toward the elevator. "Master Bruce?" Bruce looked at him. "Be careful." Bruce nodded. Alfred entered the elevator. The doors closed. Bruce was alone. He looked toward the batsuit, then toward the exit. He knew he should stay. He knew his body needed time. But Gotham didn't care. Criminals weren't going to wait for his ribs to heal. Black Mask wasn't going to wait. The assassins weren't going to wait. So Bruce stood. He put the cowl back on. The Batman returned. Alfred reached the upper level. He walked toward the hidden entrance. Before leaving, he turned around. He looked back toward the elevator. For a moment, he considered going back. But he knew Bruce. If he tried to stop him again, Bruce would simply find another way out. Alfred sighed. "Please don't make me bury you, Master Bruce." He opened the hidden entrance. Then he stepped outside. Alfred carefully locked the secret entrance behind him. He made sure it was secure. Then he walked away from the old Wayne building, back toward Wayne Manor. Meanwhile, far below him, Bruce entered the darkness. The Bat computer activated. Gotham appeared across the screens. Bruce stared at the city. His injuries hurt. His body was exhausted. But his mind was focused. He reached for his grappling gun. Then he disappeared into the night, because Bruce Wayne had made a promise long ago, and no amount of pain was going to make him break it. End of Batman, Gotham's Knight in a 5.3, The Pain of a Wayne. Gotham City Police, Season 1, Number 3, The False Mask, Earth 1 Saga 1, Gods, Monsters, and Mortals, Part 1, Mortals 2. The GCPD was unusually quiet. Harvey Bullock stood outside the forensic examination room, drinking coffee while staring through the window. Edward Nashton was inside, finishing his examination of the body recovered from Lacey Towers. Bullock knocked on the glass. Nashton? Edward looked up. Almost finished. Bullock sighed. That's what you said 20 minutes ago. Edward returned to his work. Bullock waited. A few minutes later, Edward removed his gloves and walked out. Bullock looked at him. So? Edward adjusted his glasses. The body isn't Roman Sionis. Bullock stopped. What? Edward handed him the report. The fingerprints don't match, neither does the dental record. Bullock stared at him. You're telling me the black mask we found is a fake? Edward nodded. Correct. Bullock looked back toward the examination room. Then where the hell is Roman? I don't know. Bullock's expression changed. He wasn't smiling anymore. So Roman staged his own death. That's one possibility. Bullock looked at the report again. He's planning something. Edward nodded. That would seem likely. Bullock turned away. Great. He started walking. Edward watched him leave. Bullock headed straight toward Captain James Gordon's office. He knocked. Come in. Bullock entered. Gordon was looking through paperwork. What is it? Bullock closed the door behind him. The body at Lacey Towers wasn't Roman Sionis. Gordon looked up. You're sure? Nashton confirmed it. Gordon leaned back. Then Roman's alive. Bullock nodded. And he wanted us to think he wasn't. Gordon stared at the desk. Why? That's what I'm trying to figure out. Bullock looked at Gordon. But whatever he's planning, it's probably big. Gordon nodded. Keep digging. Bullock started to leave. Gordon stopped him. Harvey. Bullock turned. Yeah? Keep your eyes open. Bullock gave him a strange look. I always do. Gordon waited until Bullock left. The door closed. Gordon leaned back. There was something about the situation that bothered him. Roman Sionis was alive. Black Mask was still out there, and nobody knew what he was planning. Later that evening, Bullock sat alone in his car. He looked at the GCPD building. He pulled out his phone. He called Gordon. Captain. Gordon answered. What happened? The body's fake. I know. Roman's alive. I know that too. Bullock looked through the windshield. There's something else. What? Bullock lowered his voice. I think Roman's gonna make a move. Gordon was silent. Stay close to him. Bullock nodded. Already planning on it. There was another pause. Bullock finally spoke. Captain, you know I've been around these people for a while. I know. Falcone's people. Maroni. Sionis. Flass. Gordon's voice became serious. That's exactly why you're doing this. Bullock looked down. Yeah, Gordon continued. Keep your cover. Bullock nodded. Understood. The call ended. Bullock stared out at Gotham. To most of the department, Harvey Bullock looked like another corrupt cop. He took money. He associated with criminals. He knew the right people. He knew how the game worked. But there was a reason. Gordon had placed Bullock undercover. His job was to keep an eye on men like Arnold Flass and the criminal organizations operating throughout Gotham. Bullock wasn't supposed to expose himself. He wasn't supposed to look like a hero. He had to look corrupt. Because sometimes the only way to catch corrupt cops was to become one. Bullock started the engine. Roman Sionis. He looked toward Gotham's skyline. What the hell are you planning? The car drove into the night. End of Gotham City Police.
Propane.
Tab Batman Gotham's Night, Volume 2, Number 6, The Penguin's Information Earth 1 Saga, 1 Gods, Monsters, and Mortals, Part 1. Mortals 2 Gotham was quiet. Not peaceful. Never peaceful. Just quiet. Batman moved across the rooftops, still recovering from his injuries. His ribs were healing. His arm was slowly getting better. But the pain was still there. He ignored it. He had something more important to deal with. Black Mask. Roman Sionis was alive. The body at Lacey Towers had been fake. And now Batman needed to find the real one. But before he went after Roman, Batman had one loose end to deal with. Oswald Cobblepot. Batman stopped on a rooftop overlooking the Iceberg Lounge. He had been monitoring the building for several minutes. Then he noticed something. Penguin's office lights were on. Batman narrowed his eyes. Oswald. He fired his grappling gun. The cable caught the building. Batman swung toward the Iceberg Lounge. He crashed through a window. Glass exploded across the room. Oswald Cobblepot jumped backward. What the bloody hell? Batman stood up. Oswald stared at him. You! Batman grabbed Penguin by the collar. He slammed him against the wall. Where's Black Mask? Penguin struggled. Now hold on. Batman tightened his grip. I'm not asking twice. Penguin swallowed. Black Mask? Batman stared at him. Roman Sionis. Penguin's expression changed. You're still chasing him? Batman slammed him harder against the wall. You knew he was alive. I didn't say that. You knew. Penguin looked nervous. Batman stared into his eyes. Then he changed the subject. Ray Salinger. Penguin froze. Batman noticed. You know the name. Oswald sighed. Yes. What happened? I hired him. Batman stared. As what? Bodyguard. Penguin adjusted his jacket as much as Batman's grip allowed. At the time, he seemed useful. And then, Penguin looked away. I discovered what he was doing, which was, you know perfectly well. Say it. Penguin's expression became serious. He killed a child. Batman said nothing. Penguin continued. Look, I may be a professional criminal, but I do not tolerate the murder of children. Batman stared at him. You fired him. Immediately. Why didn't you call the police? Penguin laughed bitterly. The police? He shook his head. Why would I? Batman stared. They wouldn't care. Penguin continued. They're on everyone's payroll. Batman didn't respond. But I heard you took him down. Batman finally released him. He did. Penguin straightened his coat. Well, good. Batman stepped closer. You should have reported him. Penguin shrugged. Perhaps. Batman grabbed him again. You're lucky. Penguin gulped. I've been told. Suddenly, the door opened. A massive figure entered. King Kraken. The enormous bodyguard looked at Batman. Batman immediately turned. King Kraken prepared to attack. Penguin raised his hand. Stop. King Kraken stopped. Penguin looked at him. I've got this. King Kraken remained still. Batman looked between them, then back at Penguin. Where is Black Mask? Penguin looked nervous. Again? Yes. Batman grabbed him by the jacket and threw him onto the desk. Where is he? Penguin groaned. I don't know exactly. Batman stared at him. The body at Lacey Towers was a fake. Penguin's eyes widened. What? Batman leaned closer. Roman Sionis is alive. Penguin looked genuinely surprised. What? Batman said nothing. Penguin slowly stood. Roman is still alive? Batman nodded. Penguin shook his head. Of course he is. Batman stared. You know. Penguin raised his hands. I heard rumors. What rumors? Penguin thought for a moment. His people. Batman waited. They're supposed to be meeting the Red Hood gang. Where? The docks. Batman narrowed his eyes. Which warehouse? I don't know the number. Batman grabbed him again. Penguin quickly continued. One of the warehouses near the eastern docks. That's all I know. Batman released him. Penguin straightened his coat. Are we finished? Batman looked at him. Not forever. Penguin sighed. I was afraid you'd say that. Batman turned toward the broken window. King Kraken watched him. Batman stopped. He looked back at Penguin. One more thing. Penguin looked nervous. What? If I find out you knew more than you told me. Batman didn't finish the sentence. He didn't need to. Penguin swallowed. Batman fired his grappling gun. The cable shot upward. He disappeared through the window. King Kraken looked at Penguin. You all right? Penguin slowly adjusted his hat. No. He looked at the broken... Not remotely. Batman landed on a nearby rooftop. He looked toward the docks. Black Mask. The Red Hood gang. A warehouse. It was enough. Batman activated his communicator. Alfred. Alfred answered. Yes, Master Bruce? I have a location. Black Mask? Possibly. There was a pause. Are you sure you're ready for this? Batman looked at his injured arm, then toward the docks. No. Alfred sighed. But you're going anyway. Yes, of course. Batman began moving across the rooftops. Oswald Cobblepot was still a problem, but Batman couldn't arrest him. Not yet. Penguin hadn't done anything that could legally put him away, and Batman wasn't going to become judge, jury, and executioner. Black Mask was different. Roman Sionis was actively organizing assassins. He had put a bounty on Batman. He had already attempted to have him killed, and now he was meeting with the Red Hood gang. Batman disappeared into the darkness. Penguin can wait. Black Mask can't. The Batman continued toward the docks. To be continued. Batman Gotham's Night, Volume 2, Number 6.2, The Batman Earth 1 Saga. 1. Gods, Monsters, and Mortals. Part 1. Mortals 2. Batman moved through Gotham's rooftops toward the docks. The information Penguin had given him was still fresh in his mind. Black Mask, the Red Hood Gang, a warehouse near the docks, that was where he was going. But Gotham had a way of putting obstacles in his path. Batman landed on another rooftop and looked down. A warehouse below was still active despite the late hour. Men were moving crates. Cars were coming and going. Batman watched for a few seconds. He recognized some of the faces. Anthony Romulus, a mob boss with a growing operation in Gotham. Batman had been keeping an eye on him. Apparently, Romulus had decided to expand his business. Batman looked toward the warehouse. Bad night to do business. He dropped from the roof. A guard heard something. What was that? Batman landed behind him. The guard turned. Batman punched him. The man dropped. Another guard saw him. Hey! Batman charged. The man pulled a gun. Batman threw a batarang. The gun flew from his hand. Batman grabbed him and slammed him against the wall. 2 more men came running. Batman ducked the first punch. He grabbed the man's arm, flipped him over. The second man charged. Batman kicked him in the chest. He crashed into a stack of crates. Get him! More men appeared. Batman looked around. All right? He cracked his knuckles. Let's get this over with. The men charged. Batman moved through them. Punch, kick, elbow, block, throw. One man swung a pipe. Batman ducked. The pipe struck the wall. Batman grabbed it, snapped it in half, then kicked the man onto the floor. Another criminal reached for a gun. Batman threw a batarang. The gun fell. Batman grabbed the man by his jacket. Where's Romulus? The man shook his head. I ain't telling you anything. Batman slammed him against the wall. Wrong answer. The criminal looked terrified. You're gonna kill me. Batman released him. No. The man stared. I'm not. Batman turned away. You're going to jail. The criminal looked toward his unconscious partners. Who the hell are you? Batman stopped. The criminal looked at the costume. The cape, the cowl, the white eyes. He whispered, It's the Batman. Batman looked back. That's right. The criminal's eyes widened. Batman disappeared into the shadows. Inside the warehouse, Anthony Romulus was watching everything unfold on a security monitor. What the hell is going on? One of his men ran into the room. Boss, Romulus turned. The Bat's here? The what? The Batman. Romulus looked at the monitor. Batman was moving through his men like they weren't even there. Romulus clenched his jaw. Get everyone out. Boss? I said get everyone out. Romulus grabbed a briefcase. He started toward the back exit. Batman appeared in front of him. Romulus stopped. Batman stared at him. Anthony Romulus. Romulus slowly stepped backward. You've got the wrong man. No. Batman grabbed him. Romulus struggled. Batman threw him against a table. You've been running weapons through this warehouse. Romulus looked at him. You don't know what you're talking about. Batman pulled out evidence he'd collected. Shipping manifests. He dropped them onto the table. Bank transfers. Another stack. Names of your men. Romulus stared. Batman leaned closer. Your operation is finished. Romulus tried to reach for a gun. Batman caught his wrist. Don't. Romulus froze. Batman twisted his arm behind his back. You're gonna tell the police everything you know. Romulus gritted his teeth. No. Batman tightened his grip. That wasn't a question. Romulus finally gave up. Batman restrained him. Then he moved through the warehouse, destroying the remaining operation. Weapons were confiscated. Money was secured. Records were collected. Romulus's men were left tied up for the police. Batman looked around. Another criminal organization was finished. But he wasn't done. Batman moved through Gotham again. The docks were getting closer. He stopped on a rooftop. Then he noticed another building. Another operation. Another group of criminals. The name on one of the shipping manifests caught his attention. Carl Grissom. Batman stared at it. Another mob boss, another criminal operation, another piece of Gotham's underworld. Batman sighed. Fine. He dropped from the rooftop. Carl Grissom's men barely had time to react. The lights went out. What happened? I don't know. Check the breaker. Something moved through the darkness. One man turned. Batman stood behind him. The man froze. Batman hit him. He dropped. Another man pulled a gun. Batman kicked it away. A third tried to run. Batman grabbed him by the back of his coat. Where are you going? The man screamed. Batman threw him onto a table. Within minutes, the operation was falling apart. Batman moved from room to room. He destroyed the weapons, destroyed the records, took the money and left the criminals tied up for the police. Carl Grissom himself was found hiding in an office. Batman entered. Grissom looked at him. "You're making a mistake." Batman stared. "Am I?" "You don't know who you're messing with." Batman walked closer. "I know exactly who I'm messing with." Grissom looked nervous. Batman grabbed him. "Your operation ends tonight." Grissom tried to fight. Batman took him down. He restrained him. Then he walked toward the window. Sirens could already be heard in the distance. Batman looked toward the docks. Black Mask, Red Hood Gang, warehouse. He had wasted time dealing with Romulus and Grissom, but Gotham's criminals weren't going anywhere. Black Mask might. Batman fired his grappling gun. The line caught a rooftop. Batman swung into the night. He disappeared toward the docks. Behind him, 2 more criminal operations were finished. Ahead of him waited the real target, Roman Sionis, Black Mask, and whatever meeting was about to happen between his men and the Red Hood Gang. Batman tightened his grip on the grappling gun. Tonight, I find him. To be continued.
I find him. No.
GCPD Report, Volume 3, Number 3. The Romulus and Grissom Files, Earth 1 Saga, 1 Gods, Monsters, and Mortals, Part 1, Mortals 2. The recording begins. A chair moves across the floor. A file is opened. The voice of Detective Renee Montoya can be heard. "This is Detective Renee Montoya, GCPD." She pauses. Today's evidence review concerns 2 separate criminal operations shut down during the same night. Paper is moved. The first suspect is Anthony Romulus. Another pause. Romulus is a known Gotham mob boss. Evidence collected from his warehouse includes weapons, financial records, shipping manifests, and documents connecting several individuals to his organization. Montoya flips through the evidence. Most of the evidence appears to confirm that Romulus was using the warehouse to move illegal weapons and other contraband throughout Gotham. She pauses. Romulus and several members of his organization were found restrained inside the warehouse. Another page turns. And once again, officers arriving at the scene were told that the Batman was responsible. Montoya sighs. "We still don't know exactly who this Batman is." She moves to another folder. The second suspect is Carl Grissom. Montoya opens the file. Grissom is another established figure in Gotham's organized crime community. His operation appears to have been connected to weapons trafficking, illegal financial transactions, and other criminal activities. She looks over the evidence. Records recovered from the Grissom operation match several transactions currently being investigated by the department. Montoya pauses. Like Romulus, Grissom was found restrained when officers arrived. She leans back in her chair. Both organizations were effectively dismantled in the same night. A moment of silence, which raises an obvious question. Montoya's voice becomes more serious. "Why?" She looks through the reports. Someone is systematically attacking Gotham's criminal organizations. She pauses. Whether that someone is the Batman or not, the result is the same. Another page turns. Romulus is in custody. Grissom is in custody. Several members of both organizations are in custody. Montoya closes the files. And for once, Gotham streets are a little quieter. She pauses. But I don't think this is the end. Montoya looks toward the evidence board. There are too many criminal organizations operating in this city. Falcone, Maroni, Penguin, Black Mask, and plenty of smaller operations underneath them. She closes the folder. If someone is going after them one by one, eventually they're going to run into someone who fights back. A final pause. And when that happens, Montoya looks down at the Batman-related evidence. I don't think Gotham is going to stay quiet for very long. The recording ends. Batman, Gotham's Night, Volume 3, Number 1, 25 to Life, Earth 1 Saga, 1 Gods, Monsters, and Mortals, Part 1, Mortals 2. The warehouse was already loud before Batman entered. Gunfire, shouting, footsteps, men running in every direction. Batman dropped through a skylight. He landed directly in the middle of the warehouse. Several members of the Red Hood Gang immediately turned toward him. One of them raised his gun. "It's the Batman!" Batman threw a batarang. The weapon struck the gun out of his hand. Batman charged. He slammed the first man into the floor. Another swung a metal pipe. Batman ducked. He grabbed the man's arm and threw him into a stack of crates. 3 more came running. Batman turned. 1 punch, another punch, a kick, a shoulder strike. All 3 hit the ground. Batman looked across the warehouse. Black Mask's men were fighting alongside the Red Hood gang. This wasn't just a meeting. It was an alliance being discussed. Roman Sionis stood near the back of the warehouse. The leader of the Red Hood gang stood beside him. Batman started toward them. Roman? Black Mask looked toward him. Get him! The criminals opened fire. Batman dove behind a stack of crates. Bullets tore through the wood. Batman threw several batarangs. 1 gunman dropped. Another. Batman rushed forward. He grabbed a Red Hood member and used him as a shield against another attack. Then he threw him aside. Black Mask and the Red Hood leader started running toward the back exit. Batman saw them. Not this time. He fired his grappling gun. The cable wrapped around a support beam. Batman swung across the warehouse. But before he could reach them, something landed on his back. Batman was knocked to the ground. He rolled across the concrete. A woman crouched above him, Copperhead. She smiled. Hello, Bat. Batman tried to get up. Copperhead attacked. She moved with unnatural speed. Batman blocked her first strike. She flipped over him. Batman turned. She attacked again. Batman caught her wrist. She twisted free. Then she jumped onto him. Her clothing pressed against his suit. Batman suddenly felt something burning beneath his skin. He shoved her away. What did you do? Copperhead smiled. You'll find out. Batman stumbled. His vision blurred. The warehouse began changing. The walls disappeared. Suddenly, Batman was standing in an alley. His parents were there. Thomas, Martha, Bruce froze. No. Joe Chill stood before them. The gun fired. Bruce watched his parents fall again. No. The scene changed. Firefly, the victims, the Ripper, the child, the dead bodies, Ray Salinger, the cotton candy, Jonathan Matthews. Every life lost over the past several days flashed through his mind. Bruce fell to one knee. I couldn't save them. Another body appeared. Then another, and another. I couldn't save them. His breathing became heavier. Then everything stopped. Bruce blinked. He was back in the warehouse. Copperhead was standing several feet away. Batman immediately activated his detective vision. His suit scanned the toxin. Chemical compounds appeared across his vision. Copperhead toxin detected. Batman quickly recorded the information. He activated his communicator. Alfred. Static. Then Alfred answered. Master Bruce? I've been poisoned. What? Copperhead. Alfred immediately became serious. How bad? Hallucinations. Motor functions are still intact. Can you identify the toxin? Batman looked at the information appearing across his lenses. Already scanned it. He transmitted the chemical composition. I'm sending you the compounds. Alfred received the data. I'll begin working on an antidote immediately. Good. The warehouse suddenly warped again. Batman looked up. Copperhead was gone. Then she struck him from behind. Batman hit the floor. Copperhead jumped onto him again. Her claws scraped across his armor. The toxin entered his system again. The world disappeared. Batman found himself inside Wayne Manor. Alfred stood across the room. He looked disappointed. Master Bruce. Bruce looked at him. Alfred? You need to stop. Bruce shook his head. No, you're going to die. Bruce looked at his hands. I'm fine. No, you're not. Alfred walked closer. You're injured. You're exhausted. You're poisoned. Bruce stepped backward. I can handle it. You can't. Alfred's voice became harsher. One day you're going to go out in that ridiculous costume and you're not going to come home. Bruce stared at him. Alfred continued. Is that what you want? Bruce shook his head. You're wrong. Am I? The room began collapsing around Bruce. Alfred disappeared. Dozens of Copperheads appeared. Bruce raised his fists. Come on. They attacked. Batman fought. 1, 2, 3. He punched one. Another jumped over him. He kicked her away. Another grabbed his arm. Batman threw her into a wall, but they kept coming. He couldn't stop them. One scratched him. Batman screamed. The hallucination changed again. Wayne Manor disappeared. He was back in the alley. But this time, someone else stood there. Thomas Wayne. Bruce froze. His father looked at him. What are you doing, Bruce? Bruce stared. You're not real. Thomas stepped closer. You're failing your family legacy. Bruce shook his head. No, you are nothing. Bruce clenched his fists. You aren't my father. You're a nobody. Bruce looked at him. Thomas continued. Because of you, everything we stood for has been destroyed. Bruce's breathing became heavier. I'm not a nobody. Thomas stared at him. Then what are you? Bruce slowly stood. His eyes narrowed. His voice became stronger. I am vengeance. The hallucination began shaking. I am the night. Bruce stepped forward. I am Batman. The hallucination shattered. Bruce opened his eyes. He was back in the warehouse. Copperhead was standing over him. She attacked again. Batman caught her. He slammed her into the floor. Copperhead hissed, "You're still hallucinating." Batman looked at her. No. He heard something overhead. A small mechanical pod dropped through the broken skylight. Batman looked up. The pod landed beside him. It opened. Inside was a small injector. Alfred's voice came through the communicator. "Master Bruce, the antidote is ready." Batman grabbed it. He injected himself. The effects began wearing off almost immediately. His vision cleared. His breathing steadied. Copperhead looked surprised. No. Batman stood. Copperhead backed away. "You shouldn't be standing." Batman walked toward her. "I've been through worse." She attacked. Batman blocked her. She kicked him. He grabbed her leg. She twisted around and tried to strike him. Batman ducked. He grabbed her and slammed her into the ground. Copperhead tried to escape. Batman caught her. She hissed, "I can tell you where Black Mask is going." Batman looked at her. "You already did." Copperhead's eyes widened. Batman threw her into a large shipping container. She hit the metal wall. Before she could get up, Batman slammed the container door shut. He locked it. Copperhead banged against the door. "Let me out." Batman ignored her. He activated his communicator. "Alfred?" "Yes, Master Bruce?" "Send an anonymous tip to the GCPD. Regarding Copperhead?" "Yes." "Understood." Batman looked around the warehouse. The Red Hood leader was gone. Black Mask was gone. Their meeting had been interrupted. But Batman knew what was happening now. The Red Hood was considering joining Roman Sionis. And if Black Mask gained another criminal organization under his control, Gotham would become even more dangerous. Batman looked toward the prototype vehicle that had delivered his antidote. The small launch pod retracted into the prototype Batwing overhead. Alfred had finished the prototype while Bruce was out in the city. Batman looked at it. "Alfred? Yes?" "The Batwing. I thought you might need a faster method of transportation." Batman looked toward the vehicle. "It's ready." Apparently, a brief silence. Then Alfred said, "Perhaps now you can come home." Batman looked toward the city outside. "Not yet." "Master Bruce? I need to finish this." Batman fired his grappling gun. The cable caught the roof. He pulled himself upward. Before leaving, he looked back at the container. Copperhead was still pounding against the door. Batman disappeared into the darkness. Behind him, the police would soon arrive. Ahead of him was Gotham. And somewhere in that city was Roman Sionis. Black Mask. The man who had put a bounty on Batman's head. The man who was building an army. The man who had no intention of stopping. Batman disappeared into the night. Into Batman Gotham's Night, Volume 3, Number 1, 25 to Life. GCPD Report, Volume 3, Number 4, Copperhead Earth 1 Saga, 1, Gods, Monsters, and Mortals, Part 1, Mortals 2. The recording begins, a chair scrapes against the floor. The voice of Detective Harvey Bullock can be heard. "Detective Harvey Bullock, GCPD, he sighs. "Apparently tonight I'm the lucky bastard who gets to deal with Copperhead." A folder opens. Anonymous tip came in about a woman being locked inside a shipping container down at the docks. Bullock pauses. Officers checked it out. He flips through a paper. Found Copperhead inside. Another pause. Alive. Bullock sounds irritated. She wasn't exactly happy about being found. The recording changes. Bullock is now speaking from the docks. "All right, open it." Two officers struggle with the container. The metal door finally opens. Copperhead is sitting inside. She looks up. "About time." Bullock stares at her. "You're Copperhead." She smiles. "You know my name." "Yeah." Bullock pulls out his handcuffs. "Stand up." Copperhead laughs. "You really think you're going to put those on me?" Bullock looks at the officers. "Don't worry." He looks back at Copperhead. "I've had worse nights." Copperhead slowly stands. Bullock approaches carefully, hands behind your back. Copperhead complies. Bullock cuffs her. "You're under arrest." "For what?" Bullock looks at the officers. "Take your pick." Copperhead smiles. Bullock searches her. weapons. He removes several concealed blades. Poison. Another container. Jesus. He looks at her. What the hell are you? Copperhead doesn't answer. Bullock shakes his head. Let's get her to Blackgate. Later, Bullock sits in the driver's seat of the transport vehicle. Copperhead is secured in the back. One of the officers sits beside her. Bullock looks through the rearview mirror. Comfortable? Copperhead stares at him. Not particularly. Good. Bullock turns back toward the road. Because you're going to be there for a while. Copperhead smiles. You have no idea what you're dealing with. Bullock sighs. Everybody says that. The vehicle continues toward Blackgate Prison. The recording continues. Bullock's voice is heard again. Copperhead was successfully transferred to Blackgate custody. He pauses. She's being held separately from the general population because of the nature of her abilities and the poison she carries. A file closes, and whoever locked her inside that container? Bullock pauses. Did us a favor. Another pause. But I'm not stupid enough to think this means the problem is over. The recording ends. GCPD Report, Volume 3, Number 5. The Copperhead File, Earth 1 Saga 1, Gods, Monsters, and Mortals. Part 1, Mortals 2. The recording begins. A chair is pulled out, a folder drops onto a desk. Harvey Bullock lets out a tired sigh. Detective Harvey Bullock, GCPD. He opens the folder. Renee Montoya isn't here tonight. A pause. She went out on her own. Bullock flips through another report. Apparently she's trying to find the candy killer. He stops for a moment. 12 children. His voice becomes quieter. 12 child victims. He turns another page. And around 20 adults. Bullock shakes his head. 20 adults poisoned with candy. 12 kids. He closes his eyes for a moment. Gotham. He opens the Copperhead evidence file. Anyway, I've got another psycho to deal with. He looks over the evidence. Copperhead. Bullock begins listing the evidence. Several concealed blades. Various containers of unidentified substances. Evidence of a toxic compound consistent with the poison found in her system. He pauses. And clothing that appears to have been designed to deliver the toxin through direct contact. Bullock looks at the report. That's how she got the Batman. He stops. The Batman. Bullock sighs. Still. GCPD Report, Volume 3, Number 5. The Copperhead Evidence, Earth 1 Saga, 1, Gods, Monsters, and Mortals, Part 1, Mortals 2. The recording begins. A chair scrapes against the floor. Harvey Bullock sits down at his desk. He drops a folder in front of him. Detective Harvey Bullock, GCPD. He sighs. Just got back from transferring Copperhead to Blackgate. Bullock opens the evidence folder. Normally, I'd have Montoya go through this stuff with me. He pauses, but she's not here. Another folder is placed on the desk. Montoya went out on her own. Bullock looks toward the empty desk across the room. She's trying to find the candy killer. He shakes his head. 12 children. Bullock pauses. And around 20 adults. He looks down at the file. That's 32 victims. His expression becomes more serious. 32. He opens the first evidence bag. Evidence recovered from Copperhead includes several concealed blades. He examines them. Nothing unusual for an assassin. Another bag. Several chemical containers. Bullock looks at the label. Whatever this stuff is, the forensic boys are going to have a field day figuring it out. He puts it down. There's also residue on some of her clothing. He flips through the report. According to the preliminary examination, it's consistent with the poison she used on her victims. Bullock pauses, which means whoever goes near this woman without proper protection is an idiot. He opens another bag. There's also a set of fingerprints. He looks at the report. Matches Copperhead. Another page. Nothing useful about who hired her. Bullock leans back. And that's the problem. He closes one folder and opens another. We've got an assassin in Blackgate. We've got Black Mask running around somewhere. We've got the Red Hood gang apparently trying to make some kind of deal with him. And we've got a goddamn child killer poisoning people with candy. Bullock rubs his face. Sometimes I really hate this city. He looks toward Montoya's empty desk again. Montoya should have brought back up. He pauses. But I know why she didn't. Bullock looks at the Candy Killer files. She's worried about those kids, he sighs. I get it. Bullock closes the Copperhead evidence folder, but going after a murder alone isn't exactly what I'd call a brilliant plan. He looks at the clock. Come on, Montoya. He leans back in his chair. Just come back alive. The recording ends.